A new venue today. As you can see, it's a reasonable sized lake. It's about 20 odd acres I think, and it's a gravel pit. We're up in the Cotswolds. Known of it for a long time. It's quite a well known tench fishery, although I don't think the tench get that big anymore. This is Horcott Lake. There's a couple of lakes up here. You've got this lake, which is the main day ticket carp lake. You've got a smaller syndicate, which is probably, looking at the size of it, maybe 4 acres, 5 acres. And there's also a little match fishery, which is probably the same sort of size, maybe 4 or 5 acres. Now we're on the day ticket lake, the larger one. This is apparently, as far as we're aware, is class as more of a runs water, but we've had 2 bites. I say we. Hugh's had 2 bites on the right of the swim. He's had one out off of the baited spot towards the middle of the swim, and he's had one off his right margin. Basically, we spent a few hours looking around yesterday. It's really warm, a lot of little fish could be seen up in the bays cruising, and we decided to drop in on the point, which is kind of, I'd say, probably bang in the middle of the lake. We've got a bay round to our right, which is quite shallow. As you can see, there's a lot of flat spots, there's a lot of weed out in front of us. Large clear area, bang in the middle of the swim pretty much. And all we've done is fish 2 rods each because we've doubled up. My right rod is on it, and Hugh's left rod's on it. We're just having a little bit of a social, and then we just got another rod each in the margin. So far Hugh's had a fish on each of his, and I haven't had anything, so the only thing I've had is a really good seam. So we did last night, and it was dark by the time we got set up. Had a bit of a barbecue and a few beers, which was pretty cool. Chilled out for a bit. Sort of got our heads down around midnight, I suppose, and then I think Hugh had his first fish about 5, I think it was, or 4:30 maybe. That was off the bait, and then he had another one a bit later on, sort of 9, 9:30. Right, and just doing a first session on Horcott Lake. We haven't been here before, and Hugh's gone and caught his first one, just off some bait, out on quite a large area in front of us, which is the only spot we could find which was clear of weed. So we've just put a rod each on that, and then dropped 1 each on the margin, so we're only using 2 each tonight. It's a bit late getting set up, I actually spent so long looking around, but this one's come off quite a large area with about 20 spods of spod mix, and he's had it on a CC Moore Pacific tuna, was it?
Pacific tuna, a bit of fake corn on top, yeah.
So a nice start. It's a lovely little scaly fish.
Yeah. Not the biggest.
Yeah, not the biggest, but it is a nice looking one, so get it back, see if we can get a few more. Good job. Right, and here's Hugh's second fish on a solid bag, was it?
Yeah, a little PVA bag, a bit of fake corn in it, just in the margin.
Just down the right hand margin, and although quite small, it's a lovely dark fish.
Not bad condition, are they?
Yeah, they are in pretty good condition, considering it's a gravel pit and that. They've always got real nice dark colours. But just small, yeah. Well, we'll get it back, see if we can get a few more, and hopefully something a bit bigger. It's quite chunky.
It's got got a paper belly on it.
Yeah. I think it was. So since then nothing's happened. He's just gone round just to the motor to get a few bits. We're going to decide what to do, whether to spend another night on here or possibly go elsewhere. There's clearly fish out in front of us, although the birds have been diving out there a bit on the bait, so it makes me think there's still a bit of bait out there. There's a few fish round in the bay, but nowhere near as many as yesterday. The sun has only literally just broken through the clouds, so I think if it's clear like it was yesterday, then it'd be a lot warmer up in that bay. But at the moment, there's not. It's not been as warm this morning. It's been a lot cooler. There's like I said, there's quite a fresh breeze. It's possible that the fish could have moved on the wind because the wind's changed a little bit more, and it's cutting across to the left now. Going over towards the left-hand side of the swim, down into the sort of top corner, towards the sort of road bank area where you park your cars. Basically, over, don't know why you can see it, but over there, in this bit, this is sort of where you park. So you have to barrow your gear all the way around. Apparently it's not an overly fished venue. It does get fished quite regularly, but it's never super busy, which I think is probably partly due to the fact that you've got to barrow your gear around, and because it's a 20-acre lake, a lot of people can't be bothered nowadays with that when there's so many venues you can fish out the back of your car, or drop your gear off in the swim. So I got a feeling that's probably why there aren't too many people on here. Our original plan was to be going up to Oxford way and going up on Linear somewhere, but looking at catch reports, I haven't been fishing that great at the moment, and it's been very busy because this is just after the last bank holiday of the year, so I think people were taking extra time off and it looked quite busy, so we didn't think it was worth going out there. And it looks like they closed a few swims on some of the lakes, which would make it even worse. So, oh. Right, you have probably seen that there on camera, but I'm basically guarding the rods while Hugh's just gone round to the car. His right hand rod ripped off again on the margin, and to be honest, it actually felt like a really good fish. It was fighting really hard and bored down into some weed, and fortunately it's cut it off on the weed, or cut it off on something. It bored through a load of weed and then boiled on the top, and then the line cut through. So I don't know whether it got around some kind of snag or some kind of tree or branch or something like that, maybe out in the lake, but yeah, it cut it off. Just come back with the tail rubber left, so I think it was on a little solid bag he'd flicked down the margin, so that's a bit gutting really. But I think I'm gonna put my other rod down there for the time being until he gets back. Just put a little bag down there or something like that, and see if somebody else picks that up. that a fish? Doesn't look like a fish, mate. That was a fish. Bloody hell. Right guys, so I haven't really done a lot of videoing for this session, but I just do a little video just to finish off. I'm actually pretty much packed down now, just got the rods out. So there's the van. Unfortunately my van got rear-ended last week, so I've got a hire van while mine's in being fixed. Luckily I ain't got to pay for it, so it's one good thing. So yeah, this is where you park up. I'm up in the Cotswolds. I would imagine a few people might recognise this just by the expanse of water in front of me, but this is Bradley's. It's on the Watermark Fisheries list of venues. It's a venue I've actually fished over the back, I think over that way somewhere. Used to be a club water, I think it's a syndicate now. Used to back onto this, and I know my dad used to fish it back in the day for the tension stuff. But it's now a quite a well, I say prolific. It's a carp fishery. As far as I'm aware, there's a good few thousand fish in here. I'm not sure if that is the case or not, but I believe the late record's about 46, 47, and there's a few other 40s and a reasonable the 30s from what I can tell. And I went over to Tackle Den, a local tackle shop where you get your ticket from, and they said that it is quite common to catch sort of £20 plus fish, sort of mid-20s, sort of average apparently. So it seemed like a good prospect and a venue worth trying. But to be fair, I feel a little bit undergunned today. I haven't really set up properly for fishing at range. I haven't really got my gear I normally use. I normally use braided line because of the 10-foot rods. It helps me to get a distance a lot easier, and it cuts out the bow in a line and gives me better bite indication. It's just a bit of a confidence thing really, but also the braid does help me reach distant marks a lot easier. Yesterday when we got here we had a bit of a low pressure come in, just for sort of the morning really, up until sort of early, well sort of mid-afternoon. There was quite a low pressure coming in. We had some rain, real good wind was hacking in here, quite a lot stronger than it is now. And it's real overcast, no sun. It's looking perfect. There were a couple of lads down in this bottom corner. The wind was literally hacking straight in there. It looked perfect for a bite, but on the evening the wind died off, and I don't know if they had anything, so they ended up leaving this morning to go to work. But yeah, it ended up dying off, and we didn't really see anything. We saw a couple of fish roll this morning. I was doubled up with Hugh, who was fishing out of this side. He didn't actually notice, but there's actually a gap down there. But yeah, he was fishing out of that side, and some fish kind of showed out. I think it was kind of out in this area, slightly to the right, probably in front of this swim. Not sure if they were tench. It's quite early, and it's really misty this morning. What would have been quite warm yesterday, and then it went really clear last night. It ended up being a real load of mist coming off the water, because obviously the water was quite warm. And everything was soaking wet with condensation, so, and dew. There was a lot of dew on the ground, so to be honest, I struggled sort of. I was getting loads of issues. I broke my rod over on Horcott, so we had to use the same spod rod, and we only had one feature rod, which meant trying to find some spots, which, well, it took ages, and we had to kind of just settle for some areas which I was kind of happy. I mean, it was quite smooth. It was kind of out in line with this point coming out here, sort of about 80 yards, 90 yards, just short of 90 yards. It's just quite a smooth area behind some weed, which, to be fair, if some fish come through, I'd be confident enough that they would have dropped down on it. And I think Hugh was fishing sort of out off of here in line with these sort of row of trees over there. And we're basically fishing the same distance. I think there must be some kind of bank of weed maybe going across here, and we were kind of fishing the other side. Didn't really spend, well, we spent a good few hours sort of leading around, but because we had the one rod, it was kind of making it a bit tricky to find anywhere. So it's kind of like, once we found something that seemed alright, we pretty much settled for that and stuck some bait on it. Stuck quite a lot of bait out, probably put a couple of kilos out each, just over some spots. I know there's quite a good head of tension here, and if the fish do come in, they could quite easily clear that up. So put a reasonable bit of bait out, also just to try and draw them in, but yeah, it doesn't seem to have worked. But yeah, I had a bit of a nightmare last night. I managed to pick up a massive weed bed, which then took out 2 of my rods, and ended up having to reel one rod at a time and try and bring this weed bed back in. And I don't know if it's still down there, but see, a weed bed, it was just some weed, but it was quite a chunk of weed. Right, all that down there. I've managed to catch around both of my rods, so I ended up taking out the 2 rods here, which are out towards the point. As you can see, even now, there's a bow in a line where the wind's picked up, and it's bowing in the line. You might not be able to see the line very well, but it's putting a bow in the line, and it does make it a bit tricky when casting, especially with a 10-footer. So yeah, usually I tend to fish with braid, so that I can get a better distance and get better bite indication. If you look at the reels, they're a little bit low. I mean, the middle rod is a bit low anyway, but it's a lovely venue. It's got a lot of, it's got some great potential. Apparently, this swim has actually been producing a few bites. Some guys come around this morning, just putting some pegs. Apparently there's a match. That's a Friday, and I was considering doing another night, but when they told me that there's a match and you have to be off before the match, I thought, well, I don't really want to have to mess around in that. So it's 22 quid for 24 hours. It is a bit pricey, to be fair. You can get a year ticket, which I think it's like sort of 300 quid, but that could be quite frustrating if you turn it up and there's guys here. But to be fair, I mean, it's the sort of end of the week, obviously midweek, but coming towards the end of the week. It's Thursday, and there's a guy just down in this corner down here, and there's a guy that got in up on this point. Apparently this point here is quite a hot spot area. There's apparently there's like a depression at about 125 yards, and that's quite a known area. Looking at it, you're probably getting quite a way out into the water from there, because you've got that point as well. So and apparently out off of here at sort of 80 to 100 there's some bars, which, gonna be honest, I could not find. But I think if I had my main spot rod and that, and a bit of time, I'm sure I could have a lead around and find them. But I'm going to make a mental note of it for next time. And if I fish this swim, at least I know there's some features in that out there. But it's definitely it definitely looks you know, it looks good for it, and there's some good fish in here.
Right then, guys, so bit of an unproductive session or overnighter on Bradley's. Love the lake, definitely going to be back for another go, and definitely becoming more prepared next time, that's for sure. So fortunately we didn't have too many fish to show you, but anyway, hopefully we get a few next time. Thanks for watching. Please hit that subscribe button and give me a like, and I'll be back out soon, and hopefully we'll have a bit more action next time. See you later.